evening.
Each day is a chance for you. Don't be afraid to look inside of you. Each day is a chance for you. Don't be afraid to look inside of you. Peace on the inside is what should really matter. Take life one day at a time.
Good evening. You know, I'm out in the park in my last interview where I can come out and film outside. Is this beautiful orange fall coming into winter, a foliage that I love. I just love being outside. I'm a Native American, part Native American, and this is that beautiful time of the year. I love the spring, but I also like fall. And being in New England, I'm just gotten used to winter. I had to get used to it, but I do love warm weather in the Caribbean and the southern, just warmth. So anyway, I just wanted to make this clear as I bring you into this awesome series that is the end of this new year. And I mentioned a couple of months ago that I was in one of the season Ecclesiastic that talks about a season of not talking about things that upset me. I mean, and when I get upset, one thing I've known all my life, that's why I've never tried to show that. When I get upset, I am just completely awful. And that's the part of me that I've worked to contain. It's called self-control. So anyway, this interview is one of the most powerful times. It was healing for me with this gentleman named Wayne. It's a two-part series, but it's going to take you inside a place you have not been. Many of you, because I already know that I know. And I am from this area. So I want you to enjoy this. So let me open this up by just saying something I didn't get to do in the show. So I want to come and correct something because we're going to deal with the concept, the dynamic of, and you'll see in vengeance, when people hurt you and innocent people are hurt, which I cannot stand. So but my point being, I want to make sure that I let you know, as Wayne and I do, about this issue of vengeance and tell young people, you know, no matter what, vengeance is never end and a cure-all for that. And by the system of laws, if you take vengeance, young people, like that's the attitude today with the bullying and the vengeance, you did this to me, and they think nothing of it. But then at the other end, there are consequences. So I want to make that clear, because you're going to hear some things that we say as adults, we've been there. But this is a testimony to tell you that, listen, vengeance, young people, it's not good, and you're going to pay. If you live by the sword, the word says you die by the sword. There's a lot in that. However, as to clarify some of my thoughts about it, I empathize with young people because today, you got media and movies and social media, and the message comes from the owners of that. They produce and let it. So, in conclusion, I would like to say to young people, parents and people understand that these young people grew up like we did, watching movies, TV, etc., media, where everything's portrayed in vengeance is being portrayed by adults in your movies and everything. And I'm a media consultant. I consider an expert in the subliminal messages that comes from television and media. That's been my field. That's been my chosen given opportunity. It's my assignment. That's why I've been in it so long, 28 years of print, radio, and television. So in justification, or just to give you some understanding, young people, it's everywhere, the TV, the media, everything we grew up on, and watching television, media, and the messages that have come. So, and the messages show that the only way to be victorious and get some relief or some whatever it is that like Wayne will say, what happens when you get justice for just a fleeting moment, then here come the consequences after that. And I know, because surely, I have wanted to be there and do that myself. You'll hear what I'm talking about in this program. Two-part dynamic series, world-class, I believe, word. And you tell me, because we sure gonna share it. Just remember that vengeance, no matter what you're thinking, I'm telling you, I'm speaking what I believe, because I had to know the feeling to say this. Young people, there's another way. And I know it's hard, but life is hard, but trust what the Word of God says. Okay, just wanted to share that with you. And then in this show, Wayne talks about the chip he had on his shoulders. And he's an adult man, what you see this? So after I thought about, I said, okay, share what my chip is, because I didn't get a chance to say that in the show. My chip on my shoulders, what I had to work through, and we do it every day, but I'm surely not what I used to be, heading for the higher calling, thank God. My chip is what the world I've seen from my study of history, which I have in my own experiences, what the world people ask the black man, the true black man, to endure. And as you'll see in that, I've said it to you before, but I'm unpacking it now from not only the society of the bigger society, shall we say, the system, but and even our own. That's been my issue. You'll hear this in there. But it's been freeing to share this with you. My chip is what the world asks the black man to endure. And you would never think that a quiet storm, the fire whisperer, the lion, as we'll share in this show too, I was bullied. And there's more ways than physically bullying. You can, hurt spiritually, betrayal, lies, everything, because I'm not the type of man, as you're saying, and I've said this, you cannot bully me physically. So that's been from a kid. And I'm going to close with this, because this show is going to speak for itself. I just wanted to come in and give you that opening about that you don't think that we are saying, or we share these things with you, our experiences, but only to tell you, young people, vengeance there's the consequences for that. And we realize that you can't, after you think and have wisdom and self-control and think that you don't want to endure the consequences. Sometimes they're too great for a moment of vengeance satisfaction. And let me clarify that, because I'm the bottom line man. The word said they deserve it, but he said, let me do it. That's hard. So you have to have your faith to believe. They say, well, there's a mankind. What? There are people laughing, and there are people that don't believe anyway. So you got to believe, though. I said, I'll handle this. I will. Okay. Just the last comment that we lost a wonderful man that I really had a lot of respect for, and just wanted to offer our condolences to the family, to Harold Stephen Bennett. He's a tour guide at the Basketball Hall of Fame. A good man. I liked Harold. You don't have to get all up into people sometimes. We didn't hang out, we didn't blah, 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 but just the spirit of people makes us called the phileo. There's agape, phileo, and eros. Phileo is just the way you appreciate a mankind's spirit, the way they handle and carry themselves. All right, enjoy this, I consider it powerful two-part series. Yeah, the chip on my shoulder is that the world, the system, awesome, but I'm still standing, still here. Now, in conclusion, listen to this. Word of wisdom, and I'm out. Enjoy the program. A wise man once said, was talking to a warrior king, said to another one, look, you can't stand the storm. Now, you've heard me say often that I've been through fire, quicksand, and the storm of life. He says, you can't stand the storm. Who are you talking about? And he reared back. The man was talking and said, hey, I am the storm. And that's the bottom line. Hey, enjoy. The best is yet to come. This is awesome, y'all. But it's freeing, and it's the truth. The word said, you hate me because I tell you the truth. Hey, take care. Enjoy this series It's living testimony from Wayne and myself. Living testimony. I think you're going to be blessed. I was blessed doing it and getting it off. And now it's time for the next level of freedom. And I can move, shake it off, still standing. Take care. Well, good evening, and welcome to another edition of Inside the Urban Bottom Line. As you know, my name is Samuel Bass. I am your host for going on 28 years now. We're here in November 1st at our studio, sharing with you what we think is good news, positive things, although, to mix it up because the world is where it is, but we usually try to be a solution. But sometimes with solutions, you have to talk about the things of the causes. But tonight, our set's a little different tonight, and we're more relaxed, but tonight I'm very pleased to share this time with you. I think it's going to bless a lot of people that watch this show or listen to it. Last couple of weeks we were airing a television show. Many of you saw it and talked about the positive dynamics of it. And it was the 5th anniversary of God's Ways Ministry, Baptist Church out on, what street is that?
Layford.
Excuse me?
Layford Terrace?
Out Layford Terrace, Garfield Street is the church, right?
Yeah.
And it was such a rewarding experience. As you know, you saw us playing, you saw the service, you saw this gentleman sitting here, you saw the congratulations, acknowledgement of Pastor McCoy. I thought it would be, it was a great thing, I think, to share that conversation even deeper with this gentleman, because I do believe, and I've said to him, I've said to many of you, at this point in my life, the people that I'm interacting with that I have time and will share with are not by happenstance. So what that means is that this walk now, and I'm sure many of you can agree with me, that because of the experiences and who we are in this time in the world, that I'm meeting people by God's providence, shall we say. And I always tell you, I'm not preaching, we're only talking. I was asked to play. Viola asked me to play drums for her. I've been playing drums in church and jazz and R&B for years as a musician. However, I hadn't set up a drum set in maybe over 10 years, as mine's a little older that I have. And she brought a brand new drum set for us to play on, for me to play on, for the anniversary. And this gentleman, Wayne, was there. He's a trustee, trustee, and he had to meet me at the church the Friday night before the banquet and the service. And he was there to meet me and let me into the church to set the drums up. First thing I noticed was I pay attention. In the military, he was wearing a Marine Corps hat. So instantly, I have been around and know enough. My grandson is the graduate, was a Marine, and always will be one. And right then, I don't know how much you know, but I know when I see a military man or a law enforcement military, then you have to be focused on what that means, and you can't come playing around half-stepping. So that's the first thing I knew. I said, oh, here we go. But it's a positive thing. Don't get me wrong. I respect the military, law enforcement. We have our issues, but hey, like we said, you can talk all you want, but most people, I don't care what race, creed, or color you are. When you get in trouble, you calling the police, the firemen, or somebody to come help. That's a long story. Tonight with me is Wayne. What's your last name again?
Ligon.
Wayne Ligon.
Yeah.
And a handshake is due. I just want to unpack some things that's going to be beneficial, I think, regardless of race, creed, or color, or gender. And let's start right there with, but just to, start telling us who Wayne is.
I grew up in Hampton, Virginia. Grew up in a section of that called Buckrow Beach. And this is that area I grew up in. By that time was the time I was about 11 years old till I was left to go in the Marine Corps, which is about 8 or 9 years. And that had a very large influence on my life because I joined a volunteer fire department and rescue squad, and I was able to help people. And that was my first experience when I was with the fire department rescue squad about racism that I knew of. And that affected me a great deal, and I couldn't understand it. Because in my family, there was never any racism talked about or shown and stuff like that.
Which I found, you know, I questioned you on that,
Yeah.
you being from the South, Virginia, and my notion anyway, you had to come up in some of it somewhere.
Well, when I was like 7 or 8 years old, we caught the bus downtown to Hampton to go to the theater for a dime. We get a quarter. You go to the theater for a dime, you spend a nickel for a Coke and a nickel for the popcorn, and you had a nickel for a piece of candy.
Yes, sir.
Today, you can't even get on the bus for a quarter.
You know that's right.
So, but when I came home, one of my friends, a neighbor that lived across the street, waves, "Come on, Wayne, there's nothing coming, come on." So I jumped off in this 4-lane road. I jumped off right across the front of the bus, right out in front of a United moving van. There was a black gentleman driving it. I was lucky, God looked out for me. He hit me, and I rolled down the street. Fortunate for me, I was just a little bruised and beat up. He was shook up, worse than I was. He took me, walked me up to the house, explained to my father what happened. The next day, United Vanland calls up and tells my father, "Don't you worry about it, we fired the SOB." That's what he told my father. My father got upset, so we went over there, and I had to explain to him what happened. And because he was the only black driver and I was a white kid, they fired him. And that was I didn't understand it. My father almost went to jail over that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the second time I had an incident which affected me is I got on a city bus one time and they had a white line halfway down. I went to the back, the big back seat. I said, "Oh man, I'm like 12, 13, I got the whole back seat to myself."
Right.
But everybody on the bus was staring at me. And the driver said, "You get up here where you belong or we don't go nowhere." And I didn't understand what he meant. And he told me, he says, "The colored sit in the back, the white sit up front. Until you come up here, we're not moving or you can get off the bus."
Wow.
So that upset me. And then when I got in the fire department, there was a fence, an 8-foot chain link fence that went between the white beach and the black beach. And across the top was barbed wire. That's when I first noticed that, was when I went to pick up, we got a call for the rescue squad. It's a pregnant woman. And I looked at that and I said, "What the hell is that?" Because my father brought back from World War II pictures of concentration camps with the fences and the stuff like that, you know, with the Jews that had been starved and everything. And I asked him about it when I got home, and he explained to me what was going on. He says, you're almost 18 years old and you don't know what's going on?" I said, "Well, you know, we never had that in our house." So from there I went in the Marine Corps. They changed my life. Because, you know, I was young and smart and cocky. I had 2 chips on my shoulder about the size of this lion here.
Right.
I'm not on one, but both shoulders.
Yeah,
It took him about 6 hours to knock those off.
I know that's right. 6 hours used.
And all the way we were running to the barracks, when I got off that bus, I was thinking, what the heck did I get into? This is not what I expected. This is not what the guy in the uniform told me about.
Right, right.
But it changed my life. It made a man out of me.
Discipline.
I wasn't a punk anymore. I learned discipline. I learned to respect. And when you can love something with all your heart, but it won't bring it close. Unless you respect that thing, you won't get it close to you. You know,
That's power. Yeah, that's what.
you have to respect it. You can't just love it. You have to respect it in order to get it close to you.
That's what the word.
It's like religion.
Yes, sir.
Respect your God, he gets close to you.
Right.
When you get close to God, you get wisdom. The wisdom goes to knowledge.
That's right.
Knowledge goes to understanding.
That's right.
So this is what happened to me. You know, that's the way I grew up. And then my mother-in-law came down with cancer. She lived up here in Springfield, so we sold my businesses and stuff down there, and we moved up here to help out. She passed away. And
What kind of business were you?
well, I had 6 garages, cab company, a convenience store.
Really?
Yeah.
So you was throwing down then.
I was making very good money in Virginia. I was only 28 when I moved up here, 29, something like that. And I was lucky. You know, in many, many ways I was lucky. I should have been dead a half a dozen times, but I didn't.
Tell us about a couple of those you told me, if you don't mind, the ones you don't mind. Telling me we had a great time that Friday night. It was
Oh,
just
my
me and you putting them drums together, and Wayne was watching me, but he was helping, and it was a couple of points, and that we shared, and it was on. So, tell a couple of them. You know, the one you electrocuted. Remember that one?
Oh,
You talking about the living testimony? This is what we doing for you. Come on, Wayne.
we were remodeling, helping a woman move out of her house, and we were going to remodel the kitchen for her. And there was a stove over in the corner, and being young and dumb and not wanting to take my time, there's a big puddle of water. I walked right into the water, grabbed hold of that 240 volt cable. It slammed me about 12 foot across the room into the wall, broke the sheetrock. It hit so hard.
Wow.
And I just laid there. They thought I was gone for a minute. I did too, be honest with you. And it kind of hurt. A little bit later, a few minutes went by, I got out and started all over again, but this time I went to the fuse box and turned off the electricity.
Well, you know, part of what was so interesting, so powerful, because we shared, man, the 2 days after that, I was thinking, for 2 days, because the celebration was that Sunday, but for 2 days, I was thinking about the conversation, the meeting that we had on a Friday evening, and the things that we shared and about, you know, faith and a testimony. So that is, I said, wait a minute, man, was electrocuted, and a couple other ones you want to share if you don't mind, you know.
Well, there's a lot of times. I had a massive heart attack. This was May 17th, 1986.
Really?
Yes, I did. And I got up, never knew I had a heart problem. Went into the room, picked up a pack of cigarettes, came back. As soon as I sat in the chair, bam, it was like somebody beating me in the chest with a sledgehammer. Well, I blacked out, but I was like 100 feet away from the doctor's office. So they carried me over to the doctor's office. Next thing I know, I wake up 3 days later and I'm in Mass General in the coronary care unit. And I said, you know, where am I at? What's going on? Well, you had a heart attack. I said, no, I didn't. He said, oh, yes, you did. And he says, we're going to change your diet, too. My cholesterol level
Right.
was like 485.
That's high?
Oh, yeah. The blood was trying to find a ship so it can get from one part of my body to the other because it couldn't get through the vessels. It was so
Wow.
But
It was
that-
a diet?
well, yeah. I wasn't eating healthy.
As you're a big man, too, you know.
Well, there was McDonald's and there was Pizza Hut and anything fat and greasy. It tastes good. Everything we love to eat that ain't no good for us. So that's what did it. They put me on a low-fat diet, low cholesterol. Now my arteries are just clear. When I had a catheterization done, they said my arteries looked like a 20-year-old.
Wow, what a blessing.
So that's twice I should have been dead. But the man upstairs, I figure he's either punishing me a little longer or he's got something for me to do.
And that's what we discussed too there, because it's ironic that we were in a worship center
Yep.
that night, and it's all, so I hope you all can see the picture. We went on a Friday night in a worship center sharing testimony and truth between two men. Somewhere down this time, I was going to say, I got enough questions for you, but we all relate as men and human beings. But any questions you want to ever interject, you can. And I'll tell you why, because my sisters, one of the things I've been known, I've been doing this radio, TV, 28 years, but they started teasing me. I was teased about, I didn't want nobody asking me. I was always
Yep.
behind the camera. I didn't, I'm doing the asking of questions. This point in life, as far as being able to help somebody, I see going further is to share a little bit more. Because like we shared, there was we all have that facade. And as I shared with you, that people, I used to try to say, and to this day, that you really don't know people unless you ask them. And I used to say that on TV. I said, don't ask other people. Come ask me, because we almost got in trouble by people asking others, well, Sam asked this, and I said, come ask me.
Yeah.
Ask
straight
me.
to the source.
Yeah, straight to the source. Because that's one of the testimonies. I said, I almost, many instances of that kind of thing, of betrayal, backstabbing, I mean, that's real talk, that I look back on it now and said, thank God that I made it, because, we've been to the edge of going over.
I think as we get older, we get a little wiser.
Yeah.
At least I hope I do.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So.
I find that most men, and some women too, have the innate ability to just mess up, period.
Right.
We
just don't know.
we don't understand something, so it's like revenge.
Yeah.
We talked about revenge that night.
Yes, we did.
And we had very similar pathways we went on.
Yes. We
And
shared
thank
them
God
in
we never acted on our revenge
That's
in
right.
certain cases,
That's right.
because we wouldn't be sitting here now.
That was our testimony.
And I can say one thing about revenge. When you get somebody does something, an atrocity or something bad to you,
Yes.
it causes several things to happen. It can cause fear, it can cause anger,
Oh, yeah.
grief,
Rage.
and rage. It's like a really bad anger. And that, in turn, turns into hatred.
Yes, sir.
That hatred makes you want to go out and say, well, I'm going to show him, because
Yes,
I'm going to do the same thing to him, but 10 times worse.
Yes, sir.
And it's a vicious circle.
Yes, sir.
And, it says the circle of life. Well,
Yeah.
it's just like the circle of revenge. Once you do that revenge, they're going to do revenge on you.
That's right.
And it's a vicious circle, and you can't do that.
No.
And usually when you do something, and I did some revenge when I was young, and it never made me feel good. After the first 4 or 5 minutes, oh yeah, man, I got him. I'm feeling great.
Right.
Well, the next day I say, oh man, I really hurt that guy,
Yeah.
and I felt bad. I ended up going to the hospital to see a guy or something, and apologizing to him, and it did nothing for my esteem. It was a momentary thing, and that revenge hurts you just as bad as it hurts the person you pull it on.
And that's the attitude out in the young today. That's why some of the things over the years, even last year, I knew by God's grace that certain things I felt and shared with you.
Yep.
I went to a limit here on this show. Many people know that. But I couldn't share that like that with these young people out here, because their whole thing out here in the streets and life today is revenge.
Yeah.
So I couldn't be a part of that, although I'm carrying my own. And we talked about that. We shared it. You told me we're going to get deep now, because this is where it started. And this was the blessing that helped me. I've tried to share with you all, my family and everybody, but only to a point. That night, Wayne was telling me, if you don't mind sharing, that about the grief thing, men in grief.
Yep.
Men try to, when we're taught not to explain it
Well-
and share it.
When I was growing up, men don't cry,
Right,
men don't show fear,
right,
men don't show grief.
right,
We have to be strong.
right,
And they give us to that macho crap.
Right.
And that's what it is, garbage. Why is it that we cannot feel what the women and the children feel? We're the same human being, the same blood, the same mind, the same God.
right.
We're all the same. But for some reason, through history, we don't get taught that.
Right.
We're not allowed to do that.
That's
And
what
it makes you a weaker person by not doing that.
Absolutely.
It really does.
physically and
Emotionally, it
Emotionally
makes
and
you a weak
physically.
person when you cannot express what you feel inside. You cannot show what you feel inside. And if it's anger, you don't want to be showing it anyway. But
right.
if you're feeling grief, somebody dies, you can't cry. That's just eating away at your heart and your soul.
That's
the
right.
way I look at it.
That's right.
And it took me many, many decades before I could sit down and cry in front of somebody. You know, I've lost 3 children.
You talk, yeah. Come on now.
And I couldn't cry in front of the family. I couldn't
Lord
cry
have
at the
mercy.
funeral. And I was sitting on my bed 10 years after my last son died, and I just started crying. And I cried for half an hour.
Mm.
And it took me that long to get it out.
Get free.
Yep. And it's a relief because I've held that in for so many decades. And you're the same type of man that I was.
Mm-hmm.
You can make me mad, you put your hands on me, you're in a world of trouble.
We're gonna go into that. We covered, man. We did about 2.5 hours, and I'm saying, what? That was a blessing for me too, because people around, they would say, we talked about anger and the mad black man, and the man is mad, and I'm just saying this. Look, y'all. Hey, y'all. This is what it feels like. I've been doing this a while, but people don't hear until it's time. And this was about you and about me, because. Well, I told you, it's been 4 years since I lost my son.
Yep.
But when you told me, it was such a blessing for me, these tears came to my eye because, yeah, I have said it on when my mother passed away, I did a show, and you all know that I came here and told you how hurt I was, and I think tears were coming down my face. I did do it on TV. And so I do have that also when my mother passed, which broke my heart. And then the last 4 years, but when you told me about your son, your 3-year-old son, if you don't mind sharing that one, then I'll interject with the power in it.
Okay. I had a 3-year-old son. This is back in August 15th, 1973. A drunk driver, my daughter and son was standing on the side of the road. Drunk driver came down,
Lord have mercy.
25-mile-an-hour zone. Why he veered off in their direction, he slammed on the brakes and slid 58 feet in a 25-mile-an-hour zone, dry pavement. He's speeding. He admitted to the cop that he had been drinking. They put my son on life support. To look at him, he didn't have a scratch on him anywhere. But the car hit him back here and it snapped the stem, I think.
Lord have mercy.
And he was on life support for 3 or 4 days, and I had to make the decision to take him off. I wanted the revenge. I had pain like you wouldn't believe. Well, you would believe it. You've been through it. You've lost a child. That pain will never go away. You just have to learn to live with it and what to do with it. I went and got my shotgun and went to go to the man's house. You know, an eye for an eye.
Yes, sir.
Vengeance was mine.
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yes, sir.
I try to console myself and say, I was made in the image of God, and if vengeance is good for God, it's good for me.
You got to twist that word up to fit you.
Yeah,
You know,
that's what
we
I
do.
needed. So I went to his house, and his house was empty. His father was smart, or somebody was smart, because he moved him out of the house. And there was an empty house. And there was never any charges brought up against the boy or nothing, because his father was a city official in Newport News. That's where it happened. So, and I think God must have been looking out for both of us, because in Virginia I would have been sitting on death row within a few years, and he would have been sitting in the cemetery.
Yes, Lord.
So-
This is real deal. This is the bottom line, y'all. This is what you
And
used to get to hear.
I am so thankful that it never happened, because outside of going into a war zone, I promised God that I would never ever kill anybody. Period. And I intend on keeping that. And there have been times when I had to remind myself the promise I made.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
but vengeance, it's a nasty disease.
You know,
It really is.
and like I've told Wayne, I'm gonna tell you all, because I'm going into a new season in my life. Like I said, a season of, and I said not talking, but it meant not talking about the things in the world that I can't do nothing about. That I'm never gonna admit that I don't get angry when I see evil act. I don't care who it is, where it is. But Wayne helped me, because when he told me, what he said was, I can remember, that every time to this day was 20. How many years since your son that was happening with your son?
It's 1973.
He said to me, I think I told Lois, my sisters, that to this day, when he sees, you can fill that in. You remember you said if you see a child on the TV to
Yeah.
this day, it brings you cry.
I watch a movie or a TV show, and it gets to the point where a child is dying or killed
Have
or
mercy.
murdered or something. I have to get up and leave because I start crying. You
Yeah.
know? 1982, I had a son died when he was 3 years old. My wife and I were in the hospital holding him,
Have mercy.
and he had a deformed heart, and they didn't know it. And he died in their arms. And I think of that. I think of my son laying in the hospital, me begging God, please take me and not him. And I'm sure you've gone through there. Why'd you take him? Why didn't you take
Yeah,
me? He hasn't had a
absolutely.
life yet.
Still
know.
have those guilt feelings to this
Oh yeah,
day.
I do too.
Yeah.
But I've learned to live with them. I understand them now. That's a subject we have to touch on too.
Yeah, this
Wow.
is the first.
Okay.
Understanding, you would Gary say?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is not our first show, but we ministering that. I know what we're doing here, because men don't talk like this. I'm in this valley, or this conversation we've had having. Continue.
I'm telling you right now, if you got somebody that you hate, somebody you want to hurt, think about how bad that's going to hurt you, how bad that's going to hurt your wife, their family, their kids,
Yeah.
because it's not just, you're not hurting him. And think what you've done to yourself, wherever you put yourself.
Been there. And I'm going to take this time right now. I said I was going to do this today as we go into the next year. I shared this with Wayne. And what we were saying is that my grief has been coming up on 4 years. And we was talking about my son. Many of you, most people know about that. As I shared with Wayne, we're talking about vengeance. And because here it is. I've touched around it, but I've shared, and I've said this with you, and I shared to Wayne, because I did not agree with what was said happened to him. He's out in Chicago. And I did not accept that. I didn't agree. And my instant thought was, the violence in the world and my enemies, and back to that piece of the 3 things we agreed that don't do to us. It said, don't threaten me, don't put your hands on me unjustly, and don't think you know me.
Yeah.
So I have said it here over the years, danced around it, but in order to go to the next level, because I had to surrender this to God Almighty in prayer. And I'm talking about real prayer. I'm talking real talk to you now. So the little innuendos that I've said over the years about that, here they are today. Because I did not accept it, because I know that, talked about haters and position I'm in, and people hate you because you tell the truth. That's in the scriptures. And I look back a few times that, veiled threats were 10 or 15 years ago about me doing this. And I remember them. See, I'm the type of, you're the same way. I remember when somebody threatened me. So when this happened, instantly that thing popped up. I said, uh-oh, there it is. So here was my test, because I've been known for this to my children. I've known in the community, my children, I will come and I protect. Believed in that. All the men do. And I really thought, I said, well, here it is. I'm done. And I used to watch. I'm telling you the truth. I tried to tell you. I'm laughing at myself now, thanking God. I studied martial arts, and Sifu knows that, in Tai Chi. But the last 3 or 4 years, but the first couple of years, man, I did not turn off. Every day I had to watch Lock Up Raw, because I knew I was playing. I said, you are going to be there. Eventually, I'm telling you, real talk. Those that say, "Oh, Mr. Bass is so nice," that's why I say people don't know you. What's going on? I said, "My man, for the last 4 years, I said I cannot live with this, knowing, and because I believed. Here it is. I believed by that dynamic that it wasn't what they said happened to him. He said he had a pulmonary embolism, but I also know the dynamics of life. I said that, and I said I could take anything. God do it. If God doesn't take it, but life. But the fact, the knowing of the man felt the need to other words, give a message to me.
Yep.
So I felt guilty, a message to Sam, and they said that over the years, that's what they'll do to you in the system. The system will do that. I used to hear that, and I didn't, tell it. I said, wait a minute. And I heard that a number of times. I said, well, here we are. Because here's the real deal. Here, I'm coming to see you. Like you said, and I've said it because I believed, and then the last piece, and I'll get off that because I want to get that out. The thing that kept me so angry every day, and because I would work out, and then my son's pictures there. So when I started doing Kung Fu and then Tai Chi, I said, oh man, Lord, help me. That's why when I said, I need help getting this, not ashamed what's in me, but I needed help. I know I needed help. And I believed, boy, this is deep, but it's the truth, that I thought of when I look at the world and everything that's going on and the violence towards each other and other races and all the violence. And what the worst thing about it, that hurt me the most and had me on edge the most, was that I said it could have been a black person that did it. That's real talk. Mm-hmm. Real talk. They know, and I've said it before. And that was the last straw. That was the real last straw. I had to get through a time because I believed that it could have been anybody. I called them all. I was prepared. They talking about Chicago. I said, look, I will get on the airplane. At that, a couple of years ago, because people say, Sam, because it happened in Chicago. And I said, man, I don't care. I'm going to find out the truth. That's just me.
Yep.
And long story short, into that, what I said that I could not live with that. That's just, the way it is. So I'm thankful that the last couple of years, man, that first couple of years, I was just a mess. So it's called suicidal, because I know either one or two things will happen, like you said. Then I look and I thank God in this, and I was thinking today about, we'll say a lot, but things came in my mind. I said, all right, you know what that's inside there. You see that.
Yep.
And as a kid, I know, but I get into detail. So for fleeting moments, I know that side.
Yep.
Then I said, man, you got all these kids, all those precious children that listen, that you ministering to, your life, all you work for, your purpose in life, to get and just want to get revenge and throw all that away. How would I explain, would help me, how are you going to explain to your precious daughters and family that your anger, you're this rock of the family, but you got so mad at somebody that you don't know, but you believe that they hurt my son.
Yep.
And you just going to go, and it wouldn't be a half an hour before they close that gate on you with a life sentence,
Yep.
and you're done. You say, man, I did that. And here I am. Was it worth it? How you going to explain that to your daughters and grandchildren? Mm-hmm. So anyway, I got that out, and that's the real truth, and that relates to I am who I am, because that relates to the fact that what we do, and I say we, mankind, but blacks do to one another. And that came up. I don't care, because it's true. You see it every day, and I hate that.
Yes.
And that thing almost took me out of here going, I didn't care who you are, especially when our dynamics are usually our own in many cases. And I'm aware of all of that. So all that came up. I said, oh man, I'm done, because I'm not taking this. This is it. I'm going to go out and investigate myself. Hey, Wayne, I was getting ready to go out, do the investigation. All it would have took, we shared this.
Yeah.
We shared it. One wrong comment.
Yep.
And I said, oh, you talk to me like that?
I told you about that guy I popped.
Yeah,
that time?
tell about that. I got to get off that. I got that out. Hallelujah, thank you, Jesus. Almighty, Most High. Whatever, I ain't preaching to you. I'm going to talk real talk. That got out. I feel fantastic. Go ahead and tell me about that.
When I was young and stupid, I had a couple of big chips on my shoulder.
Yes, sir.
Somebody did something to me. I believed in vengeance.
Yes, sir.
Okay. This guy caused me some serious pain and grief one time. I didn't do nothing. Too many people walking around, too many cops in the area. So I let it go. About 4 or 5 years later, I see him walking down the sidewalk.
Maybe you showed me this one.
And he goes, "Hey, Wayne." And I nailed him, knocked him right out. My wife says, "Well, what the hell did you do that for?" I said, "You hear the way he said hello?"
Yeah.
But I knew in my heart why I did it. It was vengeance,
Yes.
you know, and
Yes.
I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and the opportunity came. He didn't expect it, and it made it feel good. The next day, I felt bad,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I was
It
bad.
caused a lot of grief between me and my wife, you know. And I don't care who it is. If you have a spouse or a loved one that does vengeance, it hurts you as well as it hurts them.
Oh, yeah.
It really does.
Oh, yeah.
Because if you're the man of the house, your family looks up to you.
Yeah.
You're the God figure of that household.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Not to be blaspheming or anything.
Right.
But when you do wrong, they say, what was that? Why did he do that? That's
Right.
not what he told us.
Right.
And my father used to say, "Don't do as I do, you do as I say do."
Yes, sir.
You know?
Yeah. There's no doubt.
But it's you hurt so many people. And you not only hurt your family, but the people they associate with now,
Yeah.
they're going to follow your footsteps.
Everybody.
It's a vicious circle. It goes on and on and on and on.
I believe in doing positive work, and I've never planned an evil. That's what people ask, looking at. I said, even as a kid, I have never, but I've had that done to me. I'm just telling a real talk, and I'm not crying about it because I got through it and I'm stronger for it. But I have never sat down and planned, let me do this to such and such and such. But I've had that done to me, and these feelings are real. One of my sisters, I always tell them, I said, look, I am real because I've been put on such not a pedestal, but been through so much and been so strong in this community on all sides of it. And it got to a point that was hurting. The part that brought the anger on is that these people think I'm not human. They just keep doing it. And that was my intent at one time of just that once to show my anger.
Yeah.
Show what you really did, how it really feels, and that's vengeance. But I say, if I could just, I'll make you laugh.
At least you didn't go down to their level.
Right, and I even see. Now, when I say I ate the whole book, I've said that to you. My mother knew. What I mean is, in my worst of times is when I would have to get to the scripture. Worst of time been for a long time, all my life, basically my adult life. Proverbs, wisdom, and everything. But I tell people, I'll make you laugh. Everybody, I said this, I think maybe once before. And about 3 weeks ago, I was telling some brothers at Mount Zion where I play the drums and music and sing. But I shared with them, and the response they gave me, there's a scripture, and it talks in Corinthians, and I use it like this. I said to the Lord one time in my worst, sitting at my seat. Now, this is real talk, real deal. I laugh at my own self because they laugh at me. I said, Lord, Father Almighty, listen, let me lose my mind. They laugh and then they say, so this is good talk. This is real talk. I said, Lord, just all my life I'm a peaceful warrior, but I have never attacked nobody. Never had, whatever. Just let me lose my mind for about a half an hour, go see some people, and I promise you, I'll come back. They said they busted out laughing. Said, man, Sam, there ain't nothing happens like that but in a movie. Okay, I got that out again clearly. No, I did, man. I said, let me just.
You'd already lost it when you asked it.
Now, that's the problem. People look at me and I look back, and as I think about it, the Lord's brought me through. I said, man, Sam, do you realize how crazy that was? And the Lord had to help you and save you. You talking like that, like you said. You almost lost it by saying.
Well, you know,
Oh, that's great.
we
Thank you,
talked
Lord.
about prayer.
Yes, we did.
I know this is not supposed to be a religious setting here, but
No, we're spiritual.
it's
you know.
spiritual to me.
Yeah, we religion, but you know, there's just not. Well, go ahead, man.
When my son died, got hit by the car,
Yes, sir.
I begged and pleaded for God over a 3-day period. Take me, leave him.
Yes, sir.
I've had a life. He hasn't, you know. And you love your children more than you love yourself. If you
Absolutely.
don't, there's something wrong.
Absolutely.
And it didn't work.
Mm.
And over the years, I prayed for different things that never came to fruition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, when I came down with cancer, pancreatic cancer,
Lord have mercy.
I told you
Thank
about
Lord.
that.
Yes, sir.
I was in a lot of pain.
Mm.
So I prayed. I prayed to have my soul, my heart, and my body healed.
Mm.
You know, and I was really earnest because I had walked away from the church for 50 years because of things that had happened.
Hello, come on now.
And that was done by the preacher and some of the people in the church.
Yes, sir.
So I walked away. I said, they go up there and they preach, and then they're out down there at the beach chasing women. And they're married with kids.
Mm.
So I said, I don't need that. Well, I needed God at this point, and I was seriously, earnestly praying for it. Well, I got sicker. I mean, the pain became worse, and I got sicker. And I thought, well, I guess I must have made him mad after 45, 50 years finally talking to him. I guess he's mad at me. He's going to show me who's boss.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it got to the point where I had to go to the hospital.
Mm.
This is how he works. It works in mysterious ways.
Mm-hmm.
Got to the hospital, and my better half was with me,
Mm-hmm.
and she convinced I've been trying to tell the doctor that I was going to for 2 years, and I thought I had cancer.
Mm.
And I having pains down here, and he kept sending me to cardiac because I had a heart attack before. And I told him, I said, the heart's up here, the pain is down here. Well, finally the doctor in the emergency room at Mercy says, okay. He came back, he says, I got bad news. I said, thank God, somebody finally found cancer. And he looked at me like he was shocked. I said, I've been trying to tell people for 2 years I got it.
Mm. Wow.
That was God's work.
You know that's
He
right.
made me so sick that I couldn't stay home.
Lord have
So
mercy.
I had to go to the hospital.
Mm.
And then the guy on call was a Dr. Hamdani. He was the surgeon. Greatest man, very religious.
Mm-hmm.
God stepped in again. He did the surgery. When he came out of the surgery, he had done 17 lymph nodes for a biopsy after he cut out all the stuff.
Mm.
And he says, 8 of the 17 were cancerous.
Jesus.
He said, but the thing that shocks everybody, I've never seen this in all my years, all the vessels that connect the lymph nodes together have no cancer in them.
Mm.
To me, God cured the cancer. I've been cancer-free for, 30 months now.
You're a living testimony. You're here to.
It's only
for the
through
word.
prayer, because
Absolutely.
before I went in, this is how I met Pastor Viola McCoy,
Yes, sir.
because Jackie was going to her church. We all had a little prayer meeting there, and all of a sudden, God got just as calm as could be. You know, no worries, no nothing. I knew everything was going to be good.
Have
The
mercy.
doctor come over, he says, I don't want to do surgery on you because I don't want you to die on the table. I said, Doc, I'll make a deal with you. You do your job, I'll do mine. He said, well, what's your job? I said, to get up and walk out of this hospital. I said, God gave you a gift, you're my gift.
Mm, mm, mm.
That was it.
God is the real.
And the difference between praying then and praying when my son and my other children were dying
Mm.
is I didn't believe in what I was praying in. If you pray, if you don't believe what you're praying, if you don't believe that God's going to come through for you, it's not going to work.
That's right.
You know?
Absolutely.
That's an understanding.
Absolutely.
You know, that's like what I was saying earlier about wisdom,
Yes, sir.
knowledge, and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
This all works out, you know.
You know, it came from love. That is why I've survived to this day, because I know that. The word is still there. They're talking from the throne. She said, don't do it. Because I during this time, let me tell you a story. This is real talk. And I talk about the other day, this is how deep this is. People just don't know. What that incident, I was over at my mother's house, and she said she knew about it, but they didn't understand because they had to do a business, just straight up, just hurt, crucified. So she said, where you going, son? I was getting ready to leave. I used to study within close to my mother. She said, I'm just going to go over here and sit in the dark by this man's house. And it was silent. And she looked at me, she said, Ray, don't do that. Don't do that. I said, Mom, I'm just going to go sit over there. She said, what you going to go sit in the dark at a man's house before? This was a while back, that incident. And long story short, that, she said, my mother said, don't do that. Don't go over there. And these things, like I said, my family, people in this community don't know because all they knew to this day. And I am that. Mr. Bass, he's the nicest guy in the world because I love people, particularly children and elders. And I just given and given and given and given. And even here, John, we would talk about it, said the more I found out a certain level of life, which really gave me the opportunity to say, all right, enough is enough.
Yep.
I'm listening to you, Lord, he say, because you realize, man, all that giving and all that things you were saying, all of that, the more you talked, the more people hated you. And particularly the people that you were talking for, they're supposed to love you. Yes. It's all in the scripture. So after a while, I said, man, these people don't understand nothing but violence and craziness. So that's another testimony. I've come to realize the Lord said, enough is enough. Because it was my daddy I got a question for you, man. I told him on this before, that my mother and my father, because I grew up I love Nelson Mandela. I mean, like I told you, I was the type of guy during that civil rights and all that, and I respect whatever man had, they did. All of it's been positive to get to a point. But like I told you, I'm not the type of, even as a young man, I was not the type that could have water holes, all of that stuff I saw happening to people. I just said,
Well,
I couldn't do it.
I almost got involved at that one time. I think I told you about that.
Yeah. Dad used to tell me, he'd say, all right, you're going to see, son, all white people are not your enemies, and all black people are not your friends. That's what I didn't want to hear, because I grew up believing, we're going to do this in slavery, and they did this and this. And my daddy, even once he said, hold up. My father's an Alabama Cherokee, strong Alabama man. He said, look, you don't know nothing about slavery. You were not a slave. So I said, but Daddy, it happened. I mean, he didn't. He said, you ain't nothing, don't go there. He knew then, because that's what we knew. And that we figured that we're going to talk, and I went to college, and now Daddy, y'all don't know what you're talking about, like this generation. He said, you don't know no slave. You ate every day. You eat every day. Don't beg nobody for nothing. Do what I say. I'm the man. And that's how I was raised.
Yep.
So I just wanted to, I look at all these things that, wisdom that's kept.
Well, I feel bad for anybody that was invested into slavery. There's no doubt, it's scientifically proven now that stress over long periods of time can change your DNA structure.
Yes, sir.
So what your ancestors went through
Right.
changed them.
Right.
Physically, not just emotionally, but
That's right.
physically it changed them.
That's right.
And it's a shame. It really is.
We talked about it.
Each day is a chance for you. Don't be afraid to look inside of you. Each day is a chance for you. Don't be afraid to look inside of you. Peace on the inside is what should really matter. Take life one day at a time. I'm sure.